Time management is silently ruining most students. And the worst part is, they think it's helping them. Every year, students try harder to get organized. And every year, they feel more exhausted, more behind, and more guilty than before. That's not a coincidence. Because if time management actually worked, you wouldn't end most nights staring at your phone at 2 a.m. thinking, how am I busy all day and still failing at everything? Let's be honest for a second. You did what you were told. Wake up early, make a timetable, use a planner, block your time, follow the Pomodoro technique. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody warns you about. The more you rely on these systems, the more you start believing you are the problem. Because when the system fails, you don't blame the system. You blame yourself. And that belief is dangerous because it doesn't just waste your time. It quietly trains you to distrust your own ability to function. If you don't catch this early, you can spend years working hard while feeling permanently behind. So before you try another productivity method, listen carefully. What if the problem isn't your discipline? What if the system you keep trusting was never designed for a student brain in the first place? Once you see why time management fails students, you won't be able to unsee it. Let's rewind. Most time management systems were not built for students. They were built for factory workers, corporate employees, executives with fixed schedules, people with one main role, clear start times, clear end times, clear expectations. Students don't live like that. A student's life is chaos disguised as freedom. Your schedule changes every semester. Deadlines are vague. Exams stack on top of each other. You're expected to perform, socialize, plan your future, and somehow stay mentally stable all at once. And on top of that, your brain is still biologically wired for exploration, emotion, and novelty, not optimization and efficiency. So when someone tells you, just manage your time better, what they're really saying is, act like a 40-year-old executive while having the brain chemistry of a 21-year-old. That gap, that's where the guilt starts. You miss one task, then another. Then suddenly even opening your planner feels heavy. You start thinking something is wrong with you. You start doubting your discipline. You start quietly believing you're just bad at life. But here's the first reality check most students never hear. You don't have a time problem. You have an energy problem, a clarity problem, and a priority problem. Time management assumes all hours are equal. They're not. An hour at 7 a.m. after 4 hours of sleep is not the same as an hour at 4 p.m. when your brain is awake. An hour spent worrying about results is not the same as an hour spent focused. An hour you choose is not the same as an hour you're forced into. But your planner doesn't see that. It treats your life like a spreadsheet. Now answer this honestly. How many times have you created the perfect timetable, color-coded, balanced, optimistic? You followed it for 2 days, maybe 3. Then you missed one task, just one, and suddenly the entire system collapsed. You stopped opening the planner. You avoided looking at it. And eventually you told yourself, I just need more discipline. No, that's not lack of discipline. That's a fragile system breaking exactly the way it was designed to. Students don't fail because they waste time. They fail because they underestimate cognitive load. Your brain isn't just doing tasks. It's processing fear, comparison, uncertainty, pressure to succeed, pressure to not disappoint people. That mental weight doesn't show up on your schedule, but it drains you anyway. That's why your to-do list feels heavier at night. That's why Sundays feel stressful instead of restful. That's why productivity videos inspire you and then quietly shame you, because you're trying to control time when what you actually need to control is attention. And here's the part nobody prepares you for. In school, effort equals reward. Study hard, follow the rules, get good grades. But in college and in real life, effort doesn't guarantee outcome. You can study and still fail. You can prepare and still feel lost. So your brain adapts. It enters survival mode. It starts avoiding tasks that feel emotionally risky, not because you're lazy, but because procrastination is a defense mechanism. Time management says, just start. Your brain replies, start what? And what if I fail again? That internal conflict, that's why schedules break. Now let's talk about multitasking. the lie that keeps students stuck. Students think they're bad at time management because they get distracted. Wrong. They're distracted because they're overloaded. When your brain has too many open loops, it looks for dopamine relief. That's not weakness. That's neuroscience. So you open Instagram, you check YouTube, you scroll. Not because you're having fun, but because you're trying to escape pressure. And when you stop scrolling, the guilt comes back even stronger. Here's the shift that changes everything. Stop managing time. Start managing friction. Friction is the invisible resistance between you and starting a task. Heavy task, high friction. Unclear task, high friction. Emotionally risky task, extreme friction. Time management ignores friction. That's why it keeps failing you. Instead of asking, how do I fit this into my schedule? Ask, how do I make this easier to start? Because starting is 80% of the battle. And here's the rule most students miss. Never plan your ideal day. Plan for your worst realistic day. Because consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from systems that survive bad days. Now let's destroy another myth. Motivation does not come before action, but action doesn't come from pressure either. Students are drowning in shoulds. I should study. I should wake up early. I should be productive. Every should adds resistance. That's why high-pressure students procrastinate the most. The solution isn't stricter schedules. It's permission-based productivity. Instead of planning everything, anchor one non-negotiable action. 1, not 10, not 5. One meaningful task that moves your life forward. Because when you try to manage everything, you manage nothing. But when you secure one win, momentum starts working for you. Here's something powerful most students never hear. Your brain doesn't trust your plans. It trusts evidence. Every time you overplan and underdeliver, your brain learns not to believe you. That's why motivation disappears so fast. So the goal isn't better planning. It's rebuilding self-trust. Small promises, kept consistently. That's how discipline is actually built. Not through motivation, not through pressure, through proof. Now think about this. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They don't steal your time. They expose your unmet needs. When you're clear and confident, distractions lose their grip. When you're overwhelmed and uncertain, anything that numbs the feeling wins. So if you really want to fix time management, stop blaming apps. Simplify your life. Fewer goals, clearer deadlines, defined good enough standards. Because perfectionism is time mismanagement disguised as ambition. Students wait for the perfect mood, the perfect plan, the perfect setup. Life doesn't reward perfect, it rewards started. And here's the truth most students need to hear, even if it's uncomfortable. You don't need to become more productive. You need to become more honest. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what scares you. Honest about what actually matters. Not what looks impressive. Time management fails because it treats life like math. But students don't live in math. They live in psychology. Fix the psychology, and time stops fighting you. So tomorrow, when you open your schedule, don't try to control every hour. Design your day around how your brain actually works. Because you were never broken. You were just using the wrong system for the wrong life. And once you stop managing time and start designing your days, everything changes.